So, first of all, I have a theory about the most powerful emotion for manifesting in magic, right? I say what I believe is the most powerful emotion for manifesting in magic, and we'll talk about it in detail. I am not saying that I'm right. I don't want to be right. I just want to be a part of the conversation. Hello, darlings. I am Cassandra. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for coming. So, guys, I have this theory. It's my theory, and I want to be really careful with this because I respect Esther Hicks and the whole vortex theory, and so I love her. I have every book that she has ever written. I've read every book she's ever written. Magic Mike. You play way too much, okay? And I know I'm joking with you, but the truth is, look how long ago was this? What is it, like 3-4 weeks ago, when you made the comment about emotions and magic? And I just I was like, oh God, why did he do that? See, the thing is, if I don't tell the truth, then I can't tell anything. Like, I just shut down. So I was very excited about just uploading my little shorts with my dolls with the pictures of my little oracle deck, and I was just, maybe planning not to ever show my face on camera again, because because I don't have to, like, put my foot in my mouth and share put my business in the streets. I can just hide, like, the way I want to, right? But anyway, so oh God, so look, now I'm just gonna have to so first of all, I have a theory about the most powerful emotion for manifesting in magic, right? I say what I believe is the most powerful emotion for manifesting in magic, and we'll talk about it in detail. I am not saying that I'm right. I don't want to be right. I just want to be a part of the conversation. So I'm going to say this is going to be another way to look at it, or because I'm sure Esther Hicks and her getting in the vortex theory has helped millions of people, and and I respect her work. I've read her work. I love her work. I love her. I love watching her videos. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of feel weird speaking this truth, but I feel like I'm not going to be able to talk about anything else unless unless I just go ahead and tell the truth and get past it, okay? At least, not the truth, my truth, not the truth, because this is Cassandra's truth, right? So first, for anybody who's not familiar with Esther Hicks, she is one of the OGs in terms of metaphysics and law of attraction. And so the vortex is basically a place where you are in alignment with the desires of your heart. You're vibrating extremely high. So I wanted to read a little bit. Just not a lot. It says, so in the teachings of Abraham Hicks, the vortex is a vibrational state of being or a non-physical realm where your desires are held in a state of vibrational alignment with your non-physical self or inner being. Getting in the vortex means achieving emotional and vibrational alignment with your desires, allowing them to flow into your physical experience by releasing resistance like doubt and fear. And so they have some, like, the vortex is a powerful, positive, emotional, and energetic state where you are a vibrational match to what you want. It's the holding tank or anchor where all your hopes and dreams and wishes are kept until you align vibrationally with them. And so she says how to get in the vortex is cultivating feelings of joy, appreciation, and happiness helps raise your vibration to match the vortex. Let go of negative thoughts, doubts, and fears that create vibrational blocks, preventing your desires from flowing to you. So basically, this is, just a summary that if you Google it and say, hey, who is Esther Hicks and what is the vortex, this is what's going to come up, or something similar to this, right? And like I said, I've read her books. I respect her immensely, and I'm quite sure this has worked for a lot of people. But what I'm about to say is a little controversial. It's a little controversial, I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's not. I don't want to be controversial. Okay, I have a theory that I think the most powerful emotion for manifesting in magic or law of attraction or metaphysics or law of assumption, whatever we're talking about, I think the most powerful emotion for manifestation is sadness. And I'm going to explain to you why I think that. I think there is no emotion more powerful than sadness, because sadness to me is where your heart, your feelings blend with your logic and your rational mind, and there's this pathway, there's a blending of emotions and logic. And I think it is the only emotion that actually processes data in this way. So I think it is the state where let me see what I wrote. These are my notes that I wrote a long time ago, and I just Mr. Magic Mike, and I was just like, no, I'm not gonna make that video. I say sadness is a transformative emotion where feelings and logic blend. It is where people are in a state of extreme self-evaluation, self-reflective, raw honesty, and then in terms of their emotions. And then the other part is their logic. It's a blend with their unfiltered, rational part of their being, like where people are contemplating, should I stay in this marriage? They can truly say, I love this person with every piece of my soul, but is this a good mix? Is this healthy for the both of us? Should we pull the plug? Have the doctors done everything that they can, and what would be the quality of life if this person was to survive? Should I, retire? Should I leave my job? Is this the best decision? I feel like if we were to look at human history, I think all of the transformative power is in the emotion of sadness. I'm not talking about, where you're deeply in a state of, where you've been traumatized. I'm not talking about that. And I'm not talking about the state of anger, because I think anger is fleeting. Somebody, you're driving on the freeway and somebody flip you off and you're like, oh, da, da, da. But 2 hours, 1 hour later, you've forgotten about it, right? It's fleeting. Happiness, you see something, you get a gift or something happens, you're like, oh my God, that's so awful, thank you. But it's fleeting, and a few hours you've gotten over this feeling. But to me, sadness, it's a very precious and powerful emotion, because one, and I have a list of reasons, it is the only emotion I feel that we truly try to medicate. I feel like you sad? Like, oh no, we can't have you sad, because when you're sad, you are not malleable. We can't control you. We can't tell you what to do. You're not reasonable, because we don't like sadness. When we realize, not when a person is super, and the D word, I think, can get your video, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. We're not talking about that state of being deeply traumatized. No. I'm talking about that state of, I don't like the way I've been treated. I don't like the way people have overlooked me, lied to me, disrespected me. You know what I mean? You know that state where you are making decisions to change your life and you are not open to criticism, or you can't be controlled by anybody. And I feel like you are in alignment with your spiritual team. I feel that when people were enslaved and they decided they were leaving, I don't think they were in the vortex. I don't think people who decided I am getting out of here, that I'm about to make a serious escape, I don't think they were in the vortex. I think I'm sorry. I think that when people make the decisions to really move their life forward, the vortex is far away. And I think that now please don't be offended. Please don't be offended, y'all, because I'm not Esther Hicks, and she is very successful, and so I'm not picking on her, nothing like that. I think that mindset of the best time to be in alignment with your hopes, desires, and your dreams is when you're in this positive vibrational state of joy and gratitude and appreciation. I feel that philosophy actually maintains the status quo, and it oppresses the masses. I really do, because I think if I'm working 5 jobs and I have kids at home and my husband's in the hospital and I'm exhausted, I don't see where the vortex is going to be coming around anytime soon. I think that the basic of it, in its most simplistic form, I think that I don't think that's true. I'm sorry. I think when we look at history, when we look at points in our lives, when we decided that something was going to change, that our life was going to be different, I promise you, you were probably in a state of sadness, right? Sadness is such a beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful emotion if you allow it, right? Because I'm gonna tell you why it's so powerful. It's because when you're sad, you're not just thinking about what didn't work in the marriage. I'm just using that as an example, by the way. You're looking at all the things that did work. You're thinking about all the things that you loved about that person. When you are thinking about retiring from your job, you're not just thinking about, oh my God, they demoted me, they took something from me, they never even mentioned it to me, they tried to humiliate me. You're not thinking about just that. You're thinking about, oh my God, I fell in love. I've had some good times. The beginning of I remember my colleagues and I, we used to go out in the beginning of the semester after everybody had completed their syllabi for their courses. We would go, and it was just so much fun. When you think about something, when you're in a state of sadness, like I said, it's where your emotions blend with logic, right? And you are really about to make a decision that you feel is going to move your life forward. So now when I was now another thing, I don't want to go personal just yet. Another thing about sadness is that when you're sad, I find that people don't really want to, I've already said, people don't want to deal with you because I think you're in such a state of I don't know what to say, right? So we kind of avoid people, like when some, oh my God, such and such is sad. If they have a loss or they did, they didn't get something, or they didn't get the job, or something didn't turn out right, we try to avoid them. Let's be honest. Yeah, because we don't really know what to say, because we don't know what to do with such an honest expression of human beingness, right? Like I can deal with your anger, so we can go back and forth. I can deal with your happiness. I can deal with your shame, your guilt, and because I can, kind of beat you up verbally. But oh my God, your sadness. Oh, I don't know what to say, man. I don't know how to deal with such vulnerable state of beingness, right? So I say it's the one emotion that we're always going to try to medicate, because we can't control it. And I think that the other thing about sadness is, like, let's just say, I think that when people, like, say they have an excessive shopping problem, that can be unidentified sadness, or they have any type of addictions, it's because of unidentified sadness, right? Because we can deal with your addiction, and we can deal with your overspending, and we can deal with your anger, but we cannot, as a human society, deal with your sadness. You break up with somebody and you go through something traumatic, and people are going to say, let's not talk about that. Let's not do that. Let's not bring that person's name up again. You might have spent a quarter of a century of your life being with somebody, and you break up with them, you get a divorce, whatever. People, and they know that, it was something traumatic. People are like, let's not talk about that. How could you not talk about half of your life? Yeah. How could you not, you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to me. But as humans, whenever somebody goes through something traumatic or sad, we just like, no, let that go. You just don't bring that up. Forget about that. You can't forget about 10, 20 years of your life, right? And just because you are sharing something about an event that included a person that is no longer part of your life, it doesn't mean that it's sad to you. But well, you know what I'm saying? Anything surrounding sadness, or any issue in your life where you have been sad, I promise you, I don't know. Usually family and friends are like, let's not talk. Don't bring that person up. No, dear, let's not. Shh. So sadness, no. So anyway, so we want to medicate it. We want you not to talk about it. We don't feel comfortable with you because we don't really know how to deal with such honesty. But I believe that when you are in a state of sadness, I think this is where you are in counsel with your higher self, with God, with your spiritual team, your ascended masters, your spiritual guides. I think this is where they reside. I think your spiritual team and your logical and emotional self are figuring out how to move forward in this 3D reality. I think this is where the angels, demons, entities, spirits who are helping you. I'm just being honest. I think this is where they reside. They reside in this blended area of this emotion of sadness, where your emotions and your logical mind combine and create this pathway of transformative energy. So and I was just, so basically, guys, I know this is crazy, right? So I'm going to tell you a little story. And now I'm hoping that at least half of the people then clicked away. Right? I was thinking about, this. I mean, before making this video, I wanted to think about the power of sadness. One, I don't know if you've ever been sad before, but food is never more delicious. It is never more delicious, right? Like I'm talking about when you really make it from your heart, or a cup of tea or something, or a song. I don't know if you've ever like listened to a song before and you just put it on repeat and you hear how the horns come in and the drums, and the instruments are like having a very rich and meaningful conversation with each other, and they're dancing, and you're listening to the world at a whole another level with your senses when you're in a state of sadness, because again, your emotions and your logical mind are both assessing and listening at the same time. So now this is a crazy story. This is a crazy story. So when I decided I wanted to be a mom, everybody in my family knows this story. I remember one day, I don't know, I never wanted kids my whole life. I was never that girl who wanted kids or wanted marriage. I was just like, I was just really ambitious. My goal was, I just want to be a multimillionaire. I want to be successful. I want to buy my mommy a house. I want to, I want to just change the world. I want to, just all this kind of stuff. Never wanted to be. But I remember I went through this stage where I decided I wanted to be a mom. And I don't know what. I remember Mandela. I'll never forget this. Mandela was in Detroit. The Pistons had just won. I think it was a repeat. I don't think they've won since then, the playoffs. And I was in my little apartment, and a wave of just deep sadness and yearning came over me. And for some reason, I was like, I want to be a mom. I was not even dating anybody. I wasn't dating a soul. I wasn't with anybody. And but I wanted to be a mother. And I was 24 years old. Yeah, like 24 years old. I just broken up with my boyfriend at the time. And we had been together for a while, but I was just really by myself. And the reason I wanted a baby was because I told God I wanted somebody to pour my love into. I had kind of I was in grad school, and I realized these guys, I'm a person, I love hard and I love deep. And when I give you my love, I'm giving you all of it, right? And I was like, they don't seem like they're going to appreciate this type of love. So I told God I wanted a kid because I wanted to pour my love into the development of another human being. Now, one of the things I always tell my students is that I don't think it's healthy to want a baby. You should want a human. A human. You want to be a part of. You want to be a support, a part of somebody else's journey, because the baby, as part of their life, is the smallest part of their development. It goes by really quickly. So if you want a baby, you're going to be truly disappointed. It goes by really, really fast. So I always, I know you have to start off as a baby, but I always say you want a human. You want to be a part of somebody's journey. And so when I was talking to God, I was like, I want to be a mom, because I want to be a part of somebody's journey. I want to pour my love into them. I just had all this love to give, and I just wanted to give it to someone who I could give it to unconditionally and not worry about being hurt, right? So so this, when I realized that, when it hit me while I'm watching Mandela in Detroit, and there's just parade downtown, and I was just like, I just started bawling my little heart out, and I was like, God, I really want a baby. And I'm thinking to myself, Cassandra, you don't deserve a baby. And I told God, it was ugly. I said, we both know that I'm unfit, okay? I'm not conventional, and you would be entrusting, one of your angels or this wonderful person with me, and I was like, God, I know I don't deserve it because of A, B, C, D, and E, okay? And I said, but God, I want a baby. I want to pour, I want to, I'm just giving God all of this. It was one of those cries, one of those nights where I was like, look, I was honest. Like, yeah, I've done this, and this. I don't deserve a kid. I ask you for your forgiveness for all of these things. And I told God, I said, listen. So after I cried for God knows how long, my eyes are swollen. And I said, after we had a talk, I don't know, obviously we had an understanding. And I told God, I said, listen, if I don't get pregnant in the next, night or so, because I had a plan, I said, then it's not meant to be, and I won't ever bring this up to you again, and I won't be upset. I don't know what was going on, but this is a true story, guys. So I called up my ex. I called my ex and I say, look, I want a baby. And he missed me, right? Because we had broken up. And he said, oh, me too. But he just missed me. And I said, and I still tease him today because we're grandparents. And I'm just like, aren't you glad I called you up? But anyway, I said, I want a baby. We don't need to do no foreplay. I need nothing. I just want a baby. I was like, you don't have to be a part of the baby's life. You don't have to be here. You have to pay. I just want this being in my life. He didn't have my address. Gave him my address. And, and guess what? I got pregnant that night, that day, because we didn't do it again. And when I checked, I was pregnant, and I was just like, no way. And so he was kind of thinking like, how are you gonna call me up and get we only, that one time. I was like, yeah, but I had talked to God. Me and God, we got deep. You know what I mean? I cried my heart out to God. I'm telling you, like, this is, but anyway, that's because I wasn't seeing anybody, and I got pregnant. And I know this is a crazy story. Got pregnant. And but this is the thing, I lost my job because I was a recruiter at a college. It was a Christian college, and this is how God got so many jokes, right? So I was working at a Christian college as a recruiter, and they they fired me because they said that I was not married, and I wasn't married. And I signed a moral clause, and I couldn't go out and recruit young women, pregnant without being married. So they asked me if I would get married, and I'm like, oh, I just called up my ex, dude, no. So she asked me if I would go horseback riding. I was like, nope, because I got on my knees, I cried, I begged God for this baby. I'm not about to get rid of this baby. So I lost my job, ended up on welfare. This is a true story. This is true. And see, you when you ask God for something, sometimes you got to see if you were like really serious about it, right? It was like, I talked from the minute I saw that little line. I was like, I started singing to this baby, talking to this baby, like, thank you God for this thing, for this baby. It was like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. But anyway, so lost my job, ended up on welfare. But when I was on welfare, I'm gonna tell you what happened. I couldn't type, and I used to pay people to type for me. And because I had taken a GED out of high school, my bachelor's degree didn't count. It was just crazy when you're on welfare. And I was able to start this type of program for pregnant mothers to learn how to type. And this is how I learned how to type, guys, on computers. This is how I learned how to use computers. I took computer classes, and I learned how to type while I was pregnant with my son. Because I was on welfare, and it was just free program when they were teaching. I'll never forget this as long as I live. And so it was a good use of my time. And but then what happened while I was pregnant, because prior to breaking up with my ex, we had been together for about, I think we had probably been together about 7 years, because I met him when I was 17. And one day we were eating Popeyes chicken, and I was pregnant. I'm like 5 months pregnant. I'm so huge, right? And he says, Sandy, he said, do you still want to get married? And I said, one day, yeah. When I, you know, like, I'm not pressed. I got my baby, you know what I mean? Yeah. He said, well, I'm off this Friday. He said, I'm off this Friday. And I said, okay. You know, so seriously, we went to the Justice of the Peace. I'm just out here. I'm a huge. It was probably like a Sunday or so when he asked me, and we didn't have rings or anything, and but we got married the day after Thanksgiving. So I went from breaking down crying in a moment of complete and utter sadness, with, you know, telling God, spilling my guts, my heart, my soul of what I want. And God came through like gangbusters. And when I think about all of the major changes in my life, when I decided to go to college, it was a moment of me crying myself to sleep. When I think about all of the times in my life when something moved, I was not in a state of bliss. I was in a state of something has to change, God. And that's when I feel like the universe moved on my behalf. I really hope this video helps someone. Thank you so much for watching. And I look forward to seeing you darlings in the next video.